Beloved, there is a strength in solitude that few comprehend, a fierce resolve born not of bitterness but of quiet endurance. A woman who walks alone does not merely wander in the wilderness of rejection or loneliness, but often journeys into a depth of strength unknown to the common eye. To the onlooker, her absence of companions may be misunderstood as weakness, but her silence is her power, her seclusion her preparation. Beware of the woman who does not need the crowd, for she has learned to lean on no one but God. She walks a path trodden only by the bold, for in isolation she has uncovered divine wisdom and unmatched strength. A self-reliant and independent woman is one who has learned the art of standing firm on her own, not out of pride or arrogance, but from an inner strength forged through trials. She does not depend on others for validation, strength, or direction, because she has discovered that true confidence comes from knowing who she is and whose she is. Her solitude has become her teacher, and her reliance on God has become her anchor. While many look to others for approval, she has chosen to seek her identity from a higher source, one that does not falter or change with the winds of opinion. Her independence is not loneliness, it is liberation. This woman does not bend to the voices around her because she has learned to listen to the still, small voice of wisdom. The world often pressures us to conform, to seek applause, and to measure our worth by the recognition of others. Yet she knows that true validation cannot be given by fickle, fallible humanity. She does not need another to remind her of her worth. Her value is engraved in her soul by her Creator. When others clamor for praise, she is steady in the quiet assurance of her purpose. She does not waver because she is not easily moved by flattery or criticism. She does not seek strength in numbers because her strength comes from within. It is not that she does not value companionship or love, rather, she does not need it to define her. Her worth is not diminished by walking alone, nor does she feel incomplete without the presence of others. Instead, she carries herself with a quiet confidence, assured that she is enough as she is. Her reliance on herself and God allows her to move forward with determination and poise, unshaken by the absence of a crowd. Direction for her life does not come from those around her. The world shouts many voices, offering counsel that is often contradictory or misleading, but she has chosen to listen to the voice of truth. She is not swayed by trends, nor does she allow others to dictate her journey. Her independence allows her to make choices with clarity, unhindered by peer pressure or fear of disapproval. She has learned to discern the path God has laid before her, and she follows it with unwavering resolve, trusting Him alone for guidance. This independence sets her apart in a world that thrives on validation. Many look to others for reassurance before taking a step forward, but she moves with a freedom that is foreign to those bound by the chains of approval. Her ability to act boldly without seeking affirmation makes her a powerful force. She does not hesitate, nor does she question her worth based on others' perceptions. Her decisions are rooted in faith and conviction, making her unshakable in a way that others often envy or misunderstand. Her independence empowers her to lift others without losing herself. While some who depend on validation may become drained or insecure when they do not receive praise, she can pour into others without expecting anything in return. Her confidence and strength allow her to encourage, uplift, and guide those around her because her well does not run dry. She is a steady presence in the lives of others, offering wisdom and love from a place of abundance rather than need. Her independence is not selfish, it is a gift to those she encounters. The world often misunderstands a self-reliant and independent woman. She may be labeled as distant, proud, or unapproachable, yet such judgments fail to see the depth of her character. Her independence is not a wall to keep others out, it is a strength that allows her to welcome others without fear of losing herself. Her love is pure because it does not come from a place of neediness. Her actions are sincere because she is free from the pressure to perform for approval. She knows that her value is secure, and so she lives authentically. Ultimately, a self-reliant and independent woman is a testament to God's sustaining power. Her independence is not born from rebellion but from trust. She knows that people may fail her, but God never will. She walks boldly and confidently, not because she trusts in her own ability, but because she trusts in the one who holds her future. She has learned the beauty of leaning on him alone, and through that trust she has discovered a strength and independence that cannot be shaken. She is not dangerous because of her solitude. She is dangerous because of the quiet, unstoppable strength that solitude has produced within her. A woman who is focused and determined is a force to be reckoned with. Her solitude becomes the furnace in which her vision is purified, her goals clarified, and her resolve strengthened. When others might be distracted by the noise of life, she embraces the quiet, where distractions are removed and her mind is sharpened like an arrow pointed toward its target. She is not swayed by trivial pursuits or the fleeting pleasures of the crowd. Instead, she sets her eyes on the path before her, walking with purpose and intention toward the goals she has set in her heart. This focus comes not from arrogance, but from understanding the value of time and energy. She knows that life is but a vapor, and every moment must be used wisely. Solitude gives her the space to evaluate where her attention belongs and what truly matters. Others may scatter their efforts in too many directions, chasing after whatever seems appealing, but she narrows her focus to that which aligns with her purpose. This focus becomes the secret of her strength, for a divided mind cannot stand, but a mind set on one vision becomes unstoppable. Her solitude is not a sign of isolation, but of preparation. Many mistake her time alone as loneliness, but they fail to see the work being done in the quiet. A focused and determined woman uses her solitude to plan, to refine, and to strengthen herself. While others are speaking idly, she is working diligently. While others are wasting time on distractions, she is making progress. She knows that the time spent alone, far from the influence of others, is the very thing that equips her for the work ahead. In her determination, she is undeterred by setbacks or failures. She understands that obstacles are not signals to quit, but lessons to be learned. A woman of focus does not crumble when faced with difficulties. Instead, her solitude has trained her to endure, to adapt, and to press on. She does not waste energy on complaining or blaming others, but directs all her strength toward finding solutions and moving forward. Her focus keeps her grounded, and her determination drives her to keep walking, even when the path is steep and the way unclear. The world often admires those who succeed, but rarely understands the sacrifice it takes to get there. A focused woman has made peace with the sacrifices her determination requires. She may miss out on the approval of others or the distractions of comfort, but she considers it a small price to pay for the fulfillment of her purpose. She is willing to say no to lesser things so she can say yes to what truly matters. Her solitude is a sanctuary where she can hear the call of her purpose more clearly than the voices of doubt or distraction. A woman with focus is not easily discouraged by the opinions of others. She knows that not everyone will understand her determination, nor does she expect them to. People may question her path or criticize her decisions, but she remains undeterred because her confidence is not rooted in their approval. Her solitude has given her the ability to filter out unnecessary noise, allowing her to hold fast to her convictions and press forward with courage. She trusts that her steps are guided, and she refuses to be swayed by the skepticism of others. Her focus and determination inspire others, though she does not seek recognition. Her quiet diligence becomes a testimony of what is possible when one commits fully to their purpose. People begin to take notice of the fruits of her labor, marveling at the steady progress she makes. What they do not always see is the discipline behind her success, the hours spent in solitude, the decisions made in private, and the battles fought in the quiet. Her focus is not for show, it is a deep and unshakable part of who she is. She approaches her goals with patience, knowing that true success is not achieved overnight. In her solitude she has learned to wait, to prepare, and to trust in the timing of her journey. A focused woman does not demand instant results, for her determination is steady and enduring. She knows that slow progress is still progress, and she trusts that every step, no matter how small, brings her closer to her goal. Her determination makes her resilient in seasons of waiting, for she has learned that good things come to those who persist. Her solitude also sharpens her mind, making her a woman of strategy and wisdom. She does not act impulsively or recklessly, but carefully considers each step she takes. Her focus allows her to anticipate challenges and plan accordingly. While others rush ahead without preparation, she moves with deliberate intention, ensuring that her actions align with her goals. Her solitude has taught her to think deeply, pray earnestly, and act boldly. She is not aimless in her pursuit, but guided by wisdom and clarity. Ultimately, her focus and determination are the result of her inner strength and faith. She does not rely solely on her own abilities, but trusts in the one who has given her the vision in the first place. Her solitude is not empty, it is filled with purpose, with prayer, and with preparation. She knows that the strength to achieve her goals comes from above, and so she moves forward with humility and confidence. A woman with focus and determination is indeed dangerous, not because of her isolation, but because of the unstoppable strength and clarity her solitude has produced. A woman who is emotionally guarded is like a fortress, strong, impenetrable, and not easily swayed by external forces. This guarded nature does not come from weakness, but from an understanding of the importance of her emotions, her heart, and her intentions. She reveals little, carefully choosing what to share and with whom. Her restraint becomes her strength, as it shields her from those who would misuse her vulnerability or twist her words for their gain. Such a woman has learned, often through experience, that not everyone is worthy of access to her innermost thoughts and feelings. This emotional guard is not a wall of bitterness, but a gate of wisdom. She does not shut people out completely, but she opens herself only to those who have earned her trust. Like a gatekeeper, she discerns who may enter and who must remain outside. This discernment protects her from unnecessary pain, betrayal, or disappointment. While the world may encourage openness for the sake of connection, she understands that overexposure can weaken the spirit and invite harm. To guard one's emotions is to honor one's heart, for it is the wellspring of life. Her guarded nature makes her intentions difficult to discern, which gives her an air of mystery and quiet strength. Others may wonder what she is thinking or planning, but she does not feel the need to explain herself. She refuses to be an open book, for she knows that too much transparency can leave her vulnerable to manipulation. This ability to hold her emotions close makes her unpredictable to those who might seek to take advantage of her. She is not cold or unfeeling, she is wise, refusing to lay her heart bare before those who do not value it. This emotional restraint allows her to navigate relationships and challenges with clarity and self-control. Where others may react impulsively, she responds thoughtfully. Because her emotions are guarded, she is not easily provoked or manipulated by others' words or actions. Her calm demeanor in the face of conflict or pressure becomes a source of power. Those who expect her to be swayed by emotion quickly learn that her resolve is stronger than they imagined. She has mastered the art of holding her peace, a skill that many overlook but few truly possess. Being emotionally guarded does not mean she lacks depth or love. On the contrary, her love runs deeper than most because it is not given recklessly. She invests her emotions where they are valued, where trust is mutual, and where relationships are rooted in respect. When she does reveal her heart, it is a sacred gift, not a careless offering. She understands that emotions are precious, and sharing them should never be taken lightly. To those she loves, she offers loyalty, warmth, and sincerity, but only after they have proven themselves worthy of her trust. Many misunderstand an emotionally guarded woman, labeling her as distant, cold, or unfeeling. Yet such judgments fail to see the strength and wisdom behind her restraint. She is not detached from life, she is simply selective about where she places her energy. Her guarded nature is not a weakness, but a defense forged by experience. It reflects the lessons she has learned about trust, betrayal, and the cost of emotional vulnerability. She guards her heart because she knows its worth, and she refuses to allow it to be mishandled. Her emotional restraint also frees her to focus on her goals and purpose without distraction. She is not weighed down by the opinions or expectations of others. for she does not allow her emotions to be swayed by external influences. While others may become entangled in emotional drama or meaningless conflicts, she remains steadfast and clear-minded. This focus allows her to pursue her vision with unwavering determination, unhindered by the noise of the world. Her guarded nature gives her the strength to stay true to herself and her calling. At times, solitude becomes her refuge, where she can process her emotions privately and without interference. She understands the importance of introspection and allows herself the space to think, pray, and reflect. Being emotionally guarded does not mean she suppresses her emotions. Rather, she tends to them in private, where they can be nurtured and healed without outside judgment. This time alone strengthens her, allowing her to re-emerge with clarity, renewed focus, and a deeper understanding of herself and her journey. Her emotional guard also teaches others to approach her with respect. Those who seek to know her must do so with patience, sincerity, and care. She does not allow herself to be rushed or pressured into vulnerability. This guardedness sets a standard for how she expects to be treated. It demands that others honor her boundaries and value her trust. It is a lesson to all who encounter her that relationships, whether personal or professional, must be built on mutual respect and understanding. Ultimately, her emotionally guarded nature is a reflection of her strength, wisdom, and self-worth. She has learned that to guard her emotions is to honor herself and the life she has been given. It is not a sign of weakness but of maturity and discernment. She reveals herself not to the many but to the few who have proven themselves worthy of her trust. And in this guardedness she finds peace, power, and an unshakable confidence that sets her apart from the rest. For a woman who guards her heart is a woman who knows her worth, and that is a dangerous kind of strength. A woman who is unpredictable and reserved is a puzzle to those who try to understand her. Without close friendships to act as windows into her thoughts, her next move remains unknown, leaving others unsure of her plans and intentions. This unpredictability is not born out of chaos, but from her choice to keep her life and purpose guarded. She does not seek validation or approval from others, so her decisions are not shaped by outside influences. Instead, she moves according to her convictions, leaving others to wonder what she will do next. This uncertainty surrounding her makes her an enigma, one who cannot easily be read or controlled. Her reserved nature gives her an aura of quiet strength. She does not share her every thought or intention, choosing instead to act with deliberate purpose. While many are quick to announce their plans or seek approval before they act, she prefers to move in silence. Her actions speak louder than her words, and she does not waste energy trying to explain herself to those who may misunderstand her. This silence confuses those who expect predictability, for they cannot anticipate her next step. Her restraint becomes her advantage, as it shields her plans from unnecessary interference. A reserved woman is not without purpose. On the contrary, her intentional silence hides a deeper focus. Because she keeps her thoughts and motives close to her heart, she can think and plan without distraction. She is not weighed down by the opinions of others, nor does she feel obligated to explain herself. This ability to hold her peace gives her freedom to move at her own pace and according to her own timing. Others may rush ahead seeking attention or approval, but she waits, watches, and acts when the moment is right. This unpredictability allows her to surprise those who underestimated her resolve. Her unpredictable nature unsettles those who seek to control her. People often rely on predictability to feel secure, but a woman who keeps her plans hidden cannot be easily manipulated or swayed. She does not reveal her next move to those who may wish to oppose or sabotage her. Instead, she chooses carefully what to share and with whom. Her life becomes a mystery, leaving others guessing and uncertain. This ability to keep her plans private protects her vision and allows her to work without unnecessary obstacles or distractions. Her unpredictability becomes a shield, protecting her from those who do not have her best interests at heart. A reserved woman is also discerning, for she knows that not everyone is worthy of access to her innermost thoughts. She has learned, perhaps through experience, that some friendships can bring harm rather than help. She guards her heart and her plans not out of mistrust but out of wisdom. She understands the power of keeping her life private, for what others do not know they cannot misuse. This discretion allows her to move confidently, without the burden of outside interference. Others may wonder about her silence, but she knows that her focus is best preserved by keeping her life protected. Her reserved nature often leads others to underestimate her. People mistake her silence for weakness or uncertainty, failing to see the strength beneath her calm demeanor. Yet it is this very quietness that allows her to act with precision and effectiveness. While others may boast of their plans and accomplishments, she lets her actions speak for themselves. Her unpredictability becomes her strength, for no one can anticipate her moves or diminish her resolve. She surprises others with her achievements, for her silence hides the diligence and focus that drive her success. There is power in being unpredictable, for it keeps others from gaining control. A woman who reveals little cannot be easily swayed or manipulated. Her reserved nature ensures that her decisions are her own, free from the influence of gossip, criticism, or unwanted advice. This freedom allows her to walk her path with confidence, trusting her instincts and convictions rather than seeking approval. She does not conform to others' expectations, nor does she feel the need to explain her choices. Her life is her own, and she lives it with quiet strength and determination. To those who observe her, she may seem distant or detached, but her reserved nature is not a lack of emotion or connection. Rather, it is a deliberate choice to protect her heart, her time, and her purpose. She knows that sharing too much can invite unnecessary conflict or betrayal, so she chooses to keep her intentions guarded. This does not mean she is unkind or unfeeling. It simply means that she is selective about where she invests her energy and trust. Her unpredictability is not a sign of instability, but of independence, a refusal to let others dictate her life. This unpredictability often sets her apart, making her stand out from those who follow the crowd. She does not move according to popular trends or the expectations of others. Instead, she carves her own path, guided by her purpose and vision. This independence can make others uncomfortable, for they cannot predict or control her choices. Yet it is this very unpredictability that makes her strong, for she is free to pursue her goals without being held back by the opinions or doubts of others. Her reserved nature allows her to move with a quiet confidence that cannot be shaken. Ultimately, a woman who is unpredictable and reserved holds a power that many fail to understand. Her silence and discretion are not weaknesses but strengths, gifts that protect her from harm and allow her to move forward with purpose. She does not seek to be known or understood by all, for she has no need for validation. Instead, she moves in wisdom, trusting her path and her purpose. Those who try to predict her will find themselves unable, for she refuses to be placed into any mold. Her quiet strength and unpredictable spirit make her truly dangerous, for no one can stand in the way of a woman who moves in silence and purpose. Resilience is forged in the fires of adversity, and for a woman who has walked the road of isolation, it becomes her greatest strength. When trials arise and no hand is there to pull her up, she learns to fight her battles alone. This solitude, though heavy at first, becomes the crucible that strengthens her resolve. While others may crumble without the support of a community, she rises because she has learned to rely on God and the inner strength He has placed within her. Isolation, rather than breaking her, has refined her, teaching her the value of endurance and self-reliance. The trials she faces alone demand courage. When others would turn to friends for comfort or advice, she kneels in prayer and seeks divine wisdom. The silence around her, which might feel like abandonment to some, becomes a space where she hears God's voice more clearly. She wrestles with her fears, her doubts, and her weaknesses, but in those battles she discovers strength she never knew she possessed. Isolation teaches her that though human company may fail, the presence of God remains constant, a refuge in every storm. Such a woman learns that trials do not mean defeat but opportunities for growth. Each challenge she overcomes alone becomes another stone in the foundation of her unshakable spirit. When she rises from a difficult season, she is no longer the same woman who entered it. She emerges stronger, wiser, and more resolute. The tears she sheds in secret, the prayers whispered when no one else is listening, build in her an unyielding character. It is in the quiet struggles of isolation that her resilience is born and nurtured. When a woman fights alone, she learns to trust her own instincts and God's leading. Without external voices to cloud her judgment or pull her in different directions, she develops a singular focus. She becomes decisive and clear-minded, knowing that wavering under pressure will only delay her breakthrough. Every decision, every step forward is weighed with careful thought and executed with firm conviction. She learns not to look around for validation or approval, but to look within for courage and upward for guidance. Trials teach her patience as well. When she is alone, victories may come slower, and the weight of the battle may feel heavier, but she knows how to endure. She has walked through dark valleys where hope was dim, yet she pressed forward. Waiting, persevering, and trusting God's timing becomes second nature to her. In this patience her faith is tested and proven genuine. She no longer fights to rush out of hardship, but embraces it as a season with a purpose, a season that strengthens her for what lies ahead. The strength that isolation gives her cannot be easily measured or imitated. It is the quiet strength of a woman who knows she has survived storms that others may never see. She bears no bitterness for the battles fought in solitude because they have built in her a spirit of gratitude and resilience. She knows that if she can endure the pain of isolation and triumph over trials without the encouragement of others, she can face anything. She does not boast of her strength, but carries it with quiet confidence, an unshakable resolve evident to all who cross her path. This resilience becomes her armor against future challenges. While others may falter at the first sign of opposition, she stands firm, for she knows how to withstand pressure. Her past battles have taught her to keep going when circumstances grow difficult. She has faced loneliness, betrayal, and disappointment, yet she has not been overcome. This tenacity is not loud or boastful, it is calm, steady, and immovable. She becomes a pillar of strength that others notice, though they may not fully understand what forged her resolve. Isolation also teaches her self-sufficiency. Not in a way that denies her need for others or community, but in a way that strengthens her ability to survive without them. She learns to make decisions, solve problems, and fight through difficulties with her own hands and her own mind, guided by faith. She understands that her ability to stand alone is not a weakness, but a skill, one that empowers her to thrive in seasons when others might stumble. Such resilience is a gift, one that prepares her to face life's uncertainties with courage. Through trials, her relationship with God deepens. She learns that while human help may be absent, divine help is ever present. In moments when she cries out for strength, she feels His peace. In times when no one understands her pain, He does. This relationship becomes her anchor, keeping her grounded when the storms rage around her. Her isolation becomes less about loneliness and more about communion with the one who sustains her. God becomes her refuge, her strength, and her constant companion in the battles she faces. Ultimately, a woman who has fought her battles alone is not to be underestimated. Her resolve is firm, her spirit unbreakable, and her faith unwavering. The trials she endured in isolation have equipped her to stand tall when others bend and to press forward when others shrink back. She does not fear the storms of life because she has already walked through the fiercest winds and emerged stronger. Resilience is her testimony born in solitude, tested in trials, and revealed in her unyielding ability to overcome whatever comes her way. A woman who is accountable to God alone walks a path that is steadfast and unshakable. While the world may demand her to seek approval from others, she chooses instead to measure her actions against the standards of her Creator. Her decisions are not swayed by opinions, pressures, or fleeting trends because her accountability rests in the one who is unchanging. This gives her a freedom that few possess, a freedom to act in obedience, knowing that God's approval is far greater than any human applause. The fear of God, rather than the fear of man, becomes her compass, guiding her through every season of life. Such a woman seeks her guidance from God in the quiet of prayer. She understands that true wisdom comes not from the counsel of the world, but from kneeling before the throne of grace. When others are quick to follow the noise and advice of those around them, she withdraws to seek the voice of God. She asks, "Lord, what would you have me do?" This reliance on divine direction shields her from the confusion and uncertainty that comes from pleasing people. With God as her guide, her steps are ordered, purposeful, and clear. Her actions, born from a place of obedience to God, are unshakable because they are rooted in eternal truth. People's opinions may change, praise may turn to criticism, and approval may be fleeting. Yet the woman accountable to God alone is unmoved. She does not waver under the pressure of judgment or gossip, for she knows that the ultimate judge of her heart is the one who created it. Her confidence is not arrogance, but a quiet assurance that she is walking in alignment with God's will. This gives her a boldness that cannot be diminished. This accountability also brings peace to her soul. When she acts in obedience to God, she does not need to justify herself to others. Her motives, her purpose, and her direction are set by God's hand, and that is enough for her. She does not waste time defending herself or seeking validation. The opinions of others may weigh heavily on some, but she rises above them, secure in the knowledge that her life is pleasing to God. It is not that she dismisses others, but that she prioritizes her accountability to the one who matters most. A woman accountable to God alone cannot be easily manipulated or controlled. When people try to sway her with flattery, pressure, or fear, they find her immovable. Her convictions are grounded in God's truth, and she will not compromise them for the sake of pleasing others. This unyielding resolve frustrates those who seek to control her, but inspires those who witness her steadfastness. Her strength comes not from stubbornness, but from her allegiance to God. She answers to Him alone and refuses to bow to anything or anyone that seeks to take His place. Her accountability to God also fosters humility. Though she walks with confidence, she does not exalt herself. She knows that her strength, wisdom, and success come from God's hand alone. She does not act to impress others or to earn their admiration. Instead, she acts out of love for God and a desire to fulfill His purpose for her life. Her humility draws others to her, for they see in her a woman who walks with quiet assurance, not because of her own merit, but because of her trust in the one who leads her. This kind of accountability brings clarity to her priorities. She is not distracted by chasing approval, popularity, or worldly success. Her focus remains fixed on the eternal. She knows that her time, energy, and resources must be spent in ways that honor God. This clarity allows her to say no to things that do not align with her purpose and yes to what truly matters. People may question her decisions or misunderstand her choices, but she is undeterred. Her path is clear because it is directed by God Himself. Being accountable to God alone makes her strong in adversity. When trials arise, she does not crumble under pressure or give in to despair. Instead, she looks upward, seeking strength and guidance from her Father. She knows that she will answer to Him for how she responds to life's challenges, and this knowledge empowers her to persevere with faith and courage. The storms of life do not shake her because she stands on the unchanging foundation of God's promises. Her accountability to Him becomes her anchor, keeping her steady when everything else is shifting. Her relationship with God grows deeper through this accountability. She walks closely with Him, aware of His presence in every decision and action. She seeks to please Him not out of duty but out of love. Her obedience flows from a heart that desires to honor Him in all she does. This intimacy with God gives her a joy and peace that the world cannot provide. She becomes a living testimony to those around her, showing what it means to live a life surrendered to God's authority. Ultimately, a woman who is accountable to God alone is a force to be reckoned with. She cannot be swayed, discouraged, or defeated by human opinions or opposition. Her actions are purposeful, her faith unshakable, and her resolve unwavering because her accountability rests in the eternal, not the temporary. The strength she carries is not her own, but comes from the one who calls her, leads her, and sustains her. Such a woman is dangerous to the forces that seek to distract, deter, or defeat her, for her life is hidden in God, and her path is secure in His hands. In a world that often glorifies the abundance of companionship, the woman with no friends walks a different path, one not paved by the approval of many, but by the quiet assurance of her God. Her solitude is not a sign of weakness, but of strength, for she knows that the friendship of the world is fleeting, yet the love of her Creator is eternal. She has chosen to dwell in the secret place of the Most High, where she finds refuge from the storms of human judgment. She fears no. Her solitude is not a sign of weakness, but a mark of strength. She understands that true strength does not come from the applause of the crowd or the validation of others, but from within. The quiet, unshakable strength that comes from a deep and abiding faith in God. While the world may search for approval in the eyes of others, she has learned that approval from the Lord is sufficient for her soul. In her solitude, she draws closer to Him, finding solace and purpose in the stillness. Unlike those who seek the comfort of constant companionship, she is not afraid to be alone. She understands that time spent in quiet reflection is never wasted. Her solitude is sacred, for it is in those moments that she listens most intently to the voice of her Creator. When the noise of the world fades away, she finds clarity, peace, and strength. In this place she is reminded of her purpose and refocused on the path God has set before her. Her reliance on her inner fortitude is not a result of self-sufficiency, but of complete dependence on God. She knows that her strength comes from Him, and in the quiet of her solitude she can hear His whisper more clearly. It is in these moments that she finds the courage to face the trials of life with grace and resilience. She does not need the reassurance of others, because she is anchored firmly in her faith, knowing that God is with her and will never forsake her. In her solitude she does not feel loneliness, but rather a deep sense of purpose. While others may feel the need to surround themselves with distractions and noise, she knows that silence holds the key to personal growth and spiritual depth. She embraces this stillness, for it provides an opportunity to grow closer to God and to reflect on His goodness. Her solitude strengthens her faith, builds her character, and equips her for the challenges ahead. Her faith is the foundation of her strength. She knows that without God she can do nothing, but with Him all things are possible. In her quiet moments she seeks His guidance, draws from His wisdom, and finds renewed strength for the journey. Her trust in God is unshaken, even when the world around her is in turmoil. Her solitude becomes a sanctuary where she finds refuge and restoration in His presence. Book 5. The Faith. Solitude does not isolate her from the world, but rather equips her to engage with it more fully. She knows that only in her quiet time with God can she be truly prepared to serve others. It is from her solitude that her love for others flows. Her inner peace and strength become a source of light and encouragement to those around her. Her solitude is not selfish, but a means by which she can be a blessing to others. In her solitude she finds freedom, the freedom to be herself without the constraints of others' expectations, the freedom to live authentically without the pressure of conforming to the world's standards. She does not need to seek the approval of others, because she is secure in her identity as a beloved child of God. Her strength comes from knowing who she is in Him, and that truth anchors her in all circumstances. Her solitude also reveals her wisdom. She does not rush to fill the silence with words, but rather takes time to listen and reflect. In her quiet moments she gains insights and understanding that others may miss in their busyness. She knows the value of stillness in a noisy world. Her solitude becomes a source of clarity, enabling her to make wise decisions and navigate life's complexities with grace and discernment, and the virtue of time to consider points and pore over in the world of wisdom. While others may fear loneliness, she has learned to embrace it as a precious gift. Her solitude provides the space for spiritual growth, personal reflection, and emotional healing. In her quiet times she can confront her fears, process her emotions, and seek God's guidance. She does not run from the discomfort of being alone, but rather embraces it as an opportunity to grow stronger and more rooted in her faith. Her solitude is her strength because it draws her closer to God, deepens her faith, and helps her become the woman she was created to be. In a world that constantly pushes for more noise, more activity, and more distractions, she understands the power of silence. It is in her solitude that she finds the courage to walk boldly in her purpose, knowing that God is with her every step of the way. Through her faith and strength, she becomes a beacon of hope to others, shining the light of God's love in a dark and noisy world. She has come to understand that the value of relationships is not measured by their quantity, but by their depth. In a world that often prizes popularity and surface-level interactions, she seeks something far more precious, authentic connections that reflect truth, integrity, and a shared vision. For her, it is not about the number of friends she has, but the quality of those relationships. She has learned that true companionship is born out of mutual respect, vulnerability, and a willingness to invest in one another's lives. She settles on the Parabel. That building quickly becomes a place for conversations regarding all matters spiritual. This wisdom has shaped the way she approaches relationships. She doesn't need to be surrounded by many people to feel complete. Instead, she values the few who genuinely understand her heart, the ones who listen with care, and the ones who walk with her through life's ups and downs. These relationships are not based on convenience or external appearances. They are built on a foundation of trust, loyalty, and shared experiences. With these individuals, there is no need for pretense, for they are free to be their true selves, knowing that they will be loved and accepted for who they really are. The woman who values depth over quantity does not fear solitude. She knows that being alone does not equate to loneliness, but rather a time for reflection and growth. In her solitude she finds clarity and purpose, as she spends time cultivating her own character and relationship with God. By prioritizing quality over quantity, she has learned that meaningful connections come when you are first grounded in who you are and in your relationship with the Lord. Only then can you truly give and receive love without expectation, judgment, or condition. She does not rush to fill her life with people, for she recognizes that superficial relationships drain energy and offer little in return. The woman who seeks depth understands that relationships require time, effort, and intentionality. She nurtures those connections that add value to her life, refusing to settle for anything less than relationships that bring her peace, joy, and spiritual growth. She does not chase after fleeting friendships or shallow conversations. Instead, she desires relationships that inspire and challenge her to be her best self. In choosing depth, She recognizes that real relationships are often tested by time and circumstance. It is through shared trials, struggles, and victories that the strongest bonds are forged. The woman who values depth understands that true companionship is not just about shared moments of joy, but also about walking together through hardships, offering support, encouragement, and love when it is needed the most. These are the relationships that stand the test of time, for they are grounded in something much stronger than fleeting emotions. They are rooted in love, faith, and commitment. She doesn't let herself be swayed by societal pressures that demand constant socializing or maintaining a large circle of acquaintances. Instead, she remains true to her values, recognizing that the few meaningful relationships she has are far more valuable than many that are superficial or transient. Her circle may be smaller, but it is composed of people who genuinely care for her, and whom she deeply cares for in return. These are relationships marked by sincerity, honesty, and the willingness to invest in one another's lives. In her pursuit of depth, she is selective about where she places her time and energy. She understands that time is a precious resource, and she does not waste it on shallow interactions or relationships that do not align with her values. She is intentional about choosing people who add value to her life, whose presence encourages her growth, and whose influence leads her closer to God. She is willing to let go of relationships that do not contribute to her well-being, understanding that it is better to have a few meaningful connections than to be surrounded by many who do not genuinely care. The woman who values depth over quantity also understands the power of silence and reflection. She doesn't feel the need to fill every moment with conversation or activity. Instead, she takes time to listen, to be present, and to understand the hearts of others. She is a woman who knows the importance of deep conversations that challenge the mind and nourish the soul. She does not engage in idle gossip or trivial chatter, but seeks out conversations that inspire, encourage, and bring life to those involved. Her relationships are not based on convenience or social status, but on shared values, respect, and love. She is drawn to people who inspire her to grow, challenge her to think deeply, and encourage her to live out her purpose. The connections she forms are based on authenticity, not on pretense. In her presence there is no need to perform or put on a facade. What you see is what you get, and that is a powerful gift. She values vulnerability, honesty, and transparency, for she knows that true intimacy is built on these qualities. Finally, the woman who values depth over quantity recognizes that her relationships reflect her own heart. By choosing to invest in deep, meaningful connections, she is choosing to align herself with people who share her values and aspirations. These relationships are not just about what others can offer her. They are about mutual growth and shared purpose. She believes that in deep relationships, we find the truest reflection of ourselves, both the beauty and the flaws, and through love, grace, and faith, we become more of who we are meant to be. She is often misunderstood, judged for choices that others may not fully comprehend. The world looks at her from its own limited perspective, casting judgment without knowing her heart, her intentions, or the depth of her faith. Yet she stands unmoved by these criticisms, knowing that her worth is not contingent on the opinions of others. She understands the wisdom in the words that say, "The world will never understand you if you live for God," and she embraces that truth with grace. To her, the approval of others is fleeting, but the approval of God is eternal and unshakable. The judgment she faces often comes from those who are unable to understand her convictions, her quiet strength, and her firm reliance on God. They may see her choices as unconventional or too radical, but she remains steadfast in her commitment. While the world praises those who conform, she stands out, following the narrow path that leads to righteousness, and she knows that this path is not one everyone will appreciate. They may see the same path as one everyone will appreciate, yet, despite the criticism, she does not waver. Her confidence is rooted in a deep, unshakable understanding that God is the ultimate judge of her actions. Her resilience in the face of judgment is not born of defiance or pride, but of quiet assurance. She has learned that the approval of people is fleeting, often swayed by passing trends or shifting opinions. But the approval of God, the one who sees her heart and understands her motives, remains constant. The world may label her as strange, as too different, or even as too faithful, but in her heart, she knows she is exactly where God wants her to be. Her identity is firmly anchored in Him, and nothing can uproot that. She endures judgment with grace, not responding with defensiveness or bitterness. She understands that people will always have something to say, especially when they don't understand. Rather than fighting back, she chooses to remain calm, letting her actions speak louder than words. She lives in a way that reflects the values she holds dear: compassion, kindness, and unwavering faith. Her integrity and humility shine through, despite the negative opinions others may try to cast upon her. She knows that the only opinion that truly matters is that of her Creator. The judgment of others may attempt to sow seeds of doubt, but she does not allow these seeds to take root. She has learned to protect her heart, guarding it with the knowledge that God's opinion is the one that carries weight. When she faces rejection, criticism, or misunderstanding, she turns to God in prayer, seeking His affirmation. She reminds her that she is loved, chosen, and valuable in His sight, regardless of the misunderstandings that may come from the world around her. During rejection, she reminds her that she is loved, chosen, and valuable in His sight, regardless of the misunderstandings in her life. Judgment from others serves only as a reminder of her distinctiveness. She was never meant to blend in with the world. She was created to stand out, to be a light in the darkness. The more she faces judgment, the more she realizes that it is a sign she is living faithfully, in alignment with God's will. Her journey is not about seeking validation from people, but about following the call that God has placed on her life. She walks confidently, knowing that her purpose transcends the world's judgment, experience of their thinking. She has come to understand that those who judge often do so because they themselves are struggling with their own insecurities or misunderstandings. Instead of reacting with anger or frustration, she chooses compassion. She knows that their judgment is a reflection of their own hearts, not of her worth. She is able to forgive easily because she recognizes that the opinions of others are often not a true reflection of who she is. Her true worth comes from being a beloved child of God, and she takes solace in knowing that He alone has the authority to define her. Judgment, though painful, has become an opportunity for growth. It has taught her to trust in God's timing and His wisdom. When she faces criticism or misunderstanding, she turns inward, seeking God's presence. In those quiet moments with Him, she finds peace, strength, and comfort. She is reminded that Jesus Himself faced rejection and judgment, yet He remained steadfast in His purpose. Her journey, too, is one of faithfulness, and she draws courage from knowing that the path of righteousness is often met with opposition. For all the judgment, she has learned not to take things personally. She recognizes that those who judge her often do not know the full story. They cannot see her heart, her struggles, or the depths of her relationship with God. Therefore she refrains from allowing their opinions to shape her actions. She knows that if God is pleased with her, that is all that matters. The priest's wife, their judgment cannot sway her, because her heart is set on pleasing her heavenly Father, not on gaining the approval of the world. She walks through life with a keen sense of discernment, understanding that not every person who crosses her path is meant to stay. She has developed an acute awareness of people's intentions, recognizing the difference between genuine kindness and hidden agendas. Her discernment is a gift, one that has been sharpened by experience, prayer, and the wisdom gained from years of navigating relationships. She does not let appearances cloud her judgment. Instead, she takes the time to understand the heart of a person before allowing them access to her life. This cautious approach to relationships is not born out of fear, but from a deep wisdom that values her peace and well-being. Her wisdom tells her that not everyone who smiles is trustworthy. She can tell when someone's words do not align with their actions, or when there is an undercurrent of manipulation or selfishness in their behavior. This ability to discern others' true motives helps her avoid unnecessary conflict, protect her heart, and ensure that the people in her life bring value and positivity rather than harm. Her discernment is an extension of her self-respect and her commitment to surround herself with those who add to her life rather than take away from it. She knows that life is too short to entertain toxic relationships, or to invest in those who have no genuine care for her well-being. This is why she guards her circle with intentionality. She understands that relationships, whether personal or professional, are either assets or liabilities. Those who drain her energy, sow discord, or hinder her spiritual growth are quickly recognized and distanced. She does not shy away from making hard decisions when it comes to letting people go, for she values peace, growth, and mutual respect above all else. Setting boundaries is one of the ways she practices discernment. She is clear about what she will and will not tolerate in her relationships. Her boundaries are not walls built to isolate, but safeguards to protect her heart, her time, and her energy. She communicates her limits with clarity and kindness, knowing that her worth is not dependent on pleasing others. The second she turns, in fact, by setting healthy boundaries, she demonstrates respect for herself and others, fostering relationships based on mutual understanding and care. Her ability to discern people's intentions is not just about avoiding negativity, but also about recognizing the good that people bring into her life. She can tell when someone is genuinely supportive, loving, and interested in seeing her succeed. These are the people she welcomes with open arms. She understands that real relationships are built on trust, integrity, and shared values, and she is quick to invest in those who exemplify these qualities. Her circle is small but intentional, consisting of individuals who inspire, encourage, and uplift her in her journey. In discerning carefully, she also listens to the Holy Spirit. She understands that some people may present themselves one way, but God sees their heart. She has learned to trust her spiritual instincts, which are often anointed with divine insight. At times the Holy Spirit may warn her to step back, reassess a situation, or move forward with caution. This inner guidance is invaluable, for it keeps her from falling into snares that could derail her purpose. She listens attentively to the still small voice, knowing it will never lead her astray. She is not quick to judge, but rather takes the time to observe and understand. She watches how people behave in different situations and takes note of their character over time. She believes that actions speak louder than words, and she evaluates people based on consistency and authenticity. She knows that it's easy for anyone to put on a facade for a short period, but true character reveals itself over time. Because of this, she does not rush into relationships or make hasty decisions. She prefers to give time and space for a person's true nature to emerge. While she values kindness, she also knows that kindness alone is not enough to form a deep and lasting bond. She seeks relationships where there is integrity and alignment of values. It is not enough for someone to appear friendly or to have good intentions. She must see evidence of their character in their actions and decisions. She is careful not to be swayed by charm or flattery, recognizing that superficial qualities often mask deeper issues. Her discernment leads her to seek out those whose hearts are aligned with her own, who encourage her walk with God and support her growth. Her discernment also allows her to evaluate her own role in relationships. She is not just looking for others to meet her needs. She examines whether she is contributing positively to the relationship. She understands that healthy relationships are mutual, and she holds herself to the same standards she holds others. She asks herself whether she is being authentic, compassionate, and supportive. She asks herself whether she is being authentic, compassionate, and supportive. This self-awareness helps her maintain healthy boundaries and ensure that her relationships are balanced, where both parties are equally invested in one another's well-being. She recognizes that there are seasons in life when certain relationships may no longer serve a purpose, and this is where discernment is key. Sometimes God calls her to distance herself from individuals who no longer contribute to her growth, or who bring unnecessary drama into her life. She does not cling to these relationships out of fear of loneliness or social expectation. She understands that moving on may be painful, but it is often necessary for her to step into the next season of life. She trusts that God has a plan for her, and that He will place the right people in her life at the right time. Her discernment also extends to the relationships that God has placed in her life. She cherishes these relationships and ensures that they are nurtured with care and intentionality. She knows the value of friendship and loyalty, and she is careful not to take those she loves for granted. She makes time to pour into these relationships, offering support, encouragement, and genuine love. She is discerning about who she lets into her inner circle, and once she has identified those who are trustworthy, she works hard to build lasting, meaningful connections. In the end, her discernment allows her to maintain peace, protect her heart, and build the kind of relationships that will bring growth and joy. She understands that not everyone who crosses her path is meant to stay, and that's okay. Her life is too precious to waste on relationships that don't align with her purpose or values. She chooses carefully, prayerfully, and intentionally, knowing that her time and energy are gifts to be spent wisely. Her heart is a delicate treasure, and she guards it with wisdom and discernment. She understands that not everyone deserves to know her deepest thoughts and feelings. In a world where trust can be broken and relationships can be fleeting, she is cautious about where she invests her emotional energy. It is not that she is cold or unloving, but rather that she values her emotional well-being and knows that a guarded heart allows her to preserve her peace and focus on what truly matters. Her vulnerability is a precious gift, one that she shares only with those who have proven themselves trustworthy. The decision to guard her heart comes from a place of self-respect and wisdom. She has learned from past experiences that not everyone who comes into her life is meant to stay. There have been times when she opened herself up to others only to be let down or hurt. These experiences, though painful, taught her the importance of setting boundaries and being selective about who she allows into her inner world. She no longer blindly trusts those who show kindness for a moment, only to reveal a different side later. Her heart is no longer easily given. It must be earned. Her caution is not rooted in fear, but in the desire to protect herself from unnecessary pain. She understands that when she entrusts someone with her emotions, she is allowing them to have a certain level of influence over her state of mind. If that trust is betrayed, the consequences can be deeply damaging. She has learned to recognize when someone is not ready or able to handle the responsibility of her heart, and who uses all possible care to preserve her and enrich her life and the faith of her heart. Her trust is a gift, and she gives it to those who have demonstrated loyalty, respect, and authenticity over time. And while she values close relationships and meaningful connections, she knows that not every person is worthy of her vulnerability. She carefully considers how others treat her and those around her, how they speak of others, and how they handle conflicts. If someone consistently displays a lack of integrity, compassion, or reliability, she knows not to open her heart to them. She has learned that true friends and partners are those who prove themselves in their actions, not just in their words. She watches for consistency, for honesty, and for the kind of love that doesn't come with strings attached. She does not share her vulnerabilities with just anyone, but when she does, it is with those who have earned her trust. She has a small circle of friends and loved ones who are safe spaces for her heart. These are the people who have walked with her through trials, who have listened without judgment, and who have supported her without expectation. She shares her deepest struggles and triumphs with them, knowing they will hold her heart with care. They know her flaws and still accept her, which is why her trust in them is sacred. Her guarded heart also allows her to maintain a sense of independence and emotional stability. She does not rely on others for her happiness or validation. She knows that her worth is not dependent on anyone else's approval, and this understanding frees her from the need to constantly seek affirmation. Her sense of self is rooted in her identity in God, and her heart is secure in that knowledge. She does not need to seek validation through external relationships because her value is already established. Her emotional well-being is a reflection of her inner strength and faith. They are one in the same. There is power in her self-awareness. She knows her triggers and the things that cause her emotional turmoil. She understands that certain situations or relationships can bring up old wounds, and she takes steps to protect herself from unnecessary hurt. This level of self-awareness allows her to make choices that preserve her peace and emotional health. She is not easily swayed by the opinions of others, nor does she let her emotions dictate her actions. She has learned to remain steady and calm, even in the face of adversity, because she knows the importance of protecting her heart. However, she is not closed off to meaningful relationships. She believes that there is a balance between protecting her heart and being open to love. She is not afraid of deep connections, but she is selective about who she allows to get close. She understands that true love and genuine friendship require vulnerability. but only with those who have earned her trust. She will open up to those who have shown themselves to be reliable, kind, and unwavering, but she does so with caution, knowing that love and trust are built over time. Her heart's protection does not mean she is cold or unloving. She is capable of great love and compassion, but she loves wisely. She does not pour her heart into relationships that drain her or cause her to question her worth. She has learned that self-love is just as important as loving others, and protecting her heart is a form of self-care. She does not feel guilty for setting boundaries or for choosing to keep certain parts